So I am the sort of original and top NFL stats analyst for advanced analytics. And I run a website that has about a dozen writers that do NFL and NCAA football analytics, as well as scouting and film study. And then I also write for ESPN Insider and ESPN Magazine, and I do appearances on ESPN radio and occasionally television. It's both an issue of creating numbers to help measure players in football that don't exist because the standard play-by-play is missing so much measurement of what's going on the field, and then taking those numbers and analyzing what is truly important and what is not, what are the value of players at different positions, what's the value of different things certain players do, to try to maximize the efficiency of your roster, to make the right in-game decisions that are going to lead to wins more often, and to look at the trends of players from year to year to figure out when players are going to age and when it's right to re-sign a guy, when it's right to let a guy go, all kinds of stuff like that. Obviously, it's better known from baseball. Baseball guys have been doing this since the late 70s. We really got started. I got started in 2003. Nobody was doing it much before then. But there's still a lot of possible growth in doing it because it's still kind of young, and teams are very much opening up to it now, with a lot of teams like Jacksonville and Cleveland having guys that do analytics, and other teams like Buffalo and Chicago talking about wanting to have guys. Well, there's two things here. The first is that to do analytics for football, you have to create stats that didn't exist before. Now, when you work for a team, you really have the opportunity to do that with your own team, because you know the play calls from the coaches, they can grade the players, you can gain all kinds of knowledge about what's going on and then measure that and look at what leads to victory. For those on the outside like me, what we can do is broadly get data for the entire league. But you have to create a lot of stats through video analysis because they don't exist in the play-by-play. And then the extra added bonus of that, especially if you're with a team, is you can tie that to the video now using the advanced systems they have. So you can call up, for example, every pass pressure by a certain defensive end. Or you can call up every time the team ran pistol, or every time a team ran bunch right, or every time they ran slot left with an empty back, or whatever you would like to look up. I think the Sports Management Worldwide video editing course teaches you what to look for in the video in a lot of ways. I mean, Mike Stober wrote this colossal book about how to chart games and every little thing you can look for. He knows what to look for, and he knows what coaches are looking for, and I think it helps you learn to watch a game from that, not as a fan, but as someone who's trying to mark everything to go back and find data later so you can scout players and figure out what they're doing good, bad, etc. I think the best thing about the Sports Management Worldwide is the people you learn from. Not even as much the contacts that may help you get a job, as the professionals who are willing to answer your questions and teach you, both the people involved in the classes and all the people who are at this conference. I've always discovered I came into this as a fan who had never played, needed to learn the scouting perspective, and found coaches willing to teach me. And the best thing here is you find guys, whether they're coaches, whether they're scouts, guys who do scouting on the outside or from the inside, like video editing, who can answer your questions and are very open to teaching you about what they do so that you have more knowledge. Well, I would recommend the conference because you meet a lot of interesting people that you can learn from, and it's not even just a question of what you can ask them while you're here. It's a question of getting that context so you can ask them things in the future. Now, maybe that'll be a contact that might lead to employment, but more importantly, it's a contact that leads to learning, and learning leads to employment.